Okay, so we left off with greatest common factor, and now I want to talk about LCM, which is least common multiple. Now I've kind of changed what I put multiple on here as. I put multiple on here as the product of two whole numbers, which I want to stress that it's technically not two whole numbers. It's technically two integers. Okay, but let's not fret about peculiarities right now. All right, trying to get this mouse off of here. It's blinking. All right. The least common multiple. If I do that, no. The least common. Okay, so least common multiple, right? LCM stands for least common multiple. We defined least as smallest, common as same, and multiple is the product of two numbers. Okay. So let's go over here and talk about getting a least common multiple and some strategies to find them. Okay, you can find the least common multiple by using a number line, making a list, or by using prime factors. I will show you an example here, and I will do example of all three of those. Okay? All right. Method one is using a number line. You put a red X above each non-zero multiple of 2 and a blue X above each non-zero multiple of 3. If you do not have two different colors to work with when writing a number line, use maybe dots and circles. But make sure that your dots and circles are very clearly a dot and a circle. Do not make a dot that looks, not dots and circles, I'm sorry, gee whiz. I mean to say X's and dots, okay? Draw your number line out, right? That's what they did first. And then they put red X's on 2's, right? Every multiple 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, if you happen to not know your multiples of 2's, just start at 2 and count every 2. 1, 2 is 4. 1, 2 is 6. 1, 2 from 6 is 8. So on and so forth. Okay, so it doesn't take much to work with this. Now, again, if I happen to not have only but one color, I could use a dot instead. So as these 3's come up, multiples of 3, right? 3, count 3 more. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 9. 1, 2, 3, 12. Okay? Then all you got to do is look for numbers that they have in common. They have 6 in common. They have 12 in common on this number line. You may have to make huge number lines, okay? Recognize. But this is pretty much a fail-safe system of making sure of finding least common multiple, okay? Like I said, the least number. Now, we want to find the least. We have 6 and 12 here that are common multiples. We want to find the least, which we defined as the smallest, okay? So the smallest or least common multiple is 6. Right? So 6 is the least common multiple of 2 and 3. Excellent. Not too hard, right? Okay. Scroll down. I don't know if you noticed right here, but off to the side here, I have multiples defined. A multiple of a number is the product of the number and any whole number. Okay? So again, they go back to that whole number idea, and really, you could replace whole number with integer. But for now, just use whole number. Okay. Method 2, use an organized list. Okay, and these are just writing down the multiples of each of the numbers, right? I would probably, list your numbers 2 and 3, and then you'll see that they're doing, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10. I would probably stop right there, at least for now. If I need to do more later, I would probably, I would absolutely do more later, and then go up to 10. And then you're just doing chunks of 5. That way you're not doing like 9 and 9 and really only needing like 4 and 2. Okay? And then over here, they go chunks of, they list the multiples of 3. 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 3 is 9, 2 times, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now, on your homework, if you stop at 6 because you recognize 6 is the least common multiple, right, then you're done. You can stop at 6. I'm okay with that. You don't have to go all the way up to 5. But if you don't initially see it, just do it by 5s. You do it in chunks of 5s, if you know what I mean. right? So that's what they did here for 3s. And then you'll notice that 6 and 12, well, we don't even have 12 on my list because I wouldn't even gone up to here. But, I mean, if you did, you could see that 12 is up there. All right, so the least common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6, okay? Another way to show it. The third and way that I normally will be doing in class, in my class, the way I'll be doing it after today, because I'll show one of each way, but after the today, I will only do it through the the third way, okay, is called prime factorization. Let me just, right? 14 is an even number. I would instantly divide a 2 out, and 2 times 7 equals 14. You know how I do it in class. I pull out prime numbers. Now, 7's okay if you recognize that 7 works at it, but I try to work from 2, then the next prime number is 3. So over here at 21, I notice that it's not even, so I can't use 2, so I go to the very next number, which is 3. I pull a 3 out, and it's 7. Okay? Now, here's the tricky part in this. Common factors you only use once. Common prime factors use only once. It should be use here. Use only once. Okay, common prime factors use only once. Common prime factors use only once. Okay? Recognize it. That the 7 and the other 7 is, so what I do, okay, is I cross this 7 out. So I've circled it, and now I got to cross it out because this is least common multiple trick. Now in the greatest common factor, we keep only the ones that are paired. Okay? In this one, we take out one of the paired ones and then use all the other numbers. See, they use all the other numbers. And when you multiply all those numbers together, you come up with 42. So the greatest, least common multiple, gee whiz, least common multiple of 14 and 21 is 42. And it was very easy to get to. Okay. We'll go ahead and do these on the board here so I can show you an example of each one. Okay. Extend page. Excellent. All right. The first one here that I'm going to do is obviously going to be this one. Let me move all this stuff out of the way because if not, we'll run into it. It's 2 and 6. I will use the number. Hold on just a second. Okay, to continue on, this is called the number line method. Okay? The first thing I got to do is draw a number line. If I was doing it and I don't know what numbers I'm using, if I'm using, you may need to draw a bigger number line than this. Okay? I would probably even use up the whole paper. If you have a paper, just use up that whole line. All right? And then start making checks. After you get done making the checks, you of course need to write the numbers in. Okay, and then we have to number it, like I said. So 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so now our first number we're going to mark is 2. So I'm going to use X's for 2. Right, I'm going to put a little X above it to show that I'm using X's for 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay? Now that I've done 2's, I go back and I do 6's. I find my first 6. Okay? And I know that 12 is my next one. And I'm using dots now. I don't know if you noticed that, but I'm separating them. I assume that you do not have colored pencils or anything to write with that is colored. So I just use dots and X's and make sure I mark which ones are my dots and which ones are my X's. All right? Then I go back and I circle the ones that they have in common because we're trying to find the least common multiple. Now, if you're smart, if you work from left to right, you will come up with the first one that they share in common should be the least. Okay? So the LCM of 2, 6 is 6, okay? And if you notice, yes, your answer can actually be the number that you started with, okay? The next one that I want to show is F here, and this one I'm going to use the organized list method, or writing multiples of it. All right, so this is organized list method. Okay? So write down your numbers. Now, I would only go out to about 10 the first time I do it. So 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12, 4 times 4 is 16, and 5 times 4 is 20. Then you come over to the 5s and you bust out 5 5s real quick. 1 times 5, 2 times 5, 3 times 5, 4 times 5, and 5 times 5. Okay? And then 10s. 10s are very simple, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. All right, so I've done 5 of each. I look in here and I see what if they have a common number. They do. Okay? Now, if you're at home and you're doing your homework and you decide that at 10 you notice that 20 is it and you don't write anything past 20, I'm okay with that. Okay? So don't fret that. All right, and then we find we've only got one circled number, so that must be the least common multiple of 4, 5, 10 is 20. Okay, now this last one is the one that I will be doing in class every time from here on out. I will not do any other way. I'm not going to waste my time doing the line method. I'm not going to waste my time writing out multiples, because that you can actually make a bigger mistake on. These right here, this is called the prime factorization method. Yeah, I can't spell very well, so I got to take my time. All right, prime factorization method. All right, and what I'm trying to do is I'm going to factor these numbers into their primes, to their point of primes. The thing that I'm never going to do is I'm never going to factor out a 1, because that's a waste of time, because 1 times any number is the number itself. So you never start with 1. The first number you go to is 2. None of these are even. As a matter of fact, all of these are prime numbers. Okay, so all you got to do now is you have to take the least common multiple of 3, 5, 7 is 3 times 5 times 7, which is equal to 105. Because 5 times 7 is 35, and 3 times 35 is 105. Okay? All right. I think the next thing that we have one more problem that we're going to do. It's a word problem. We'll go over it real quick. Ernesto has a painting class every 2 weeks. Carmela, or whatever that name is, has a pottery class every 5 weeks. Ernesto and Kamala meet at the art building for class this week. How many weeks will it be until they see each other again? Okay, this is a great example of a least common multiple problem that you could actually work with. Okay, you see somebody every X number of days. You know, you last saw them on this day. When will you see them again? Okay, so they do it the multiples of, which is fine, because if you do it my way, 2 and 5 are prime. All you do is multiply them together, and you come up with 10. Here, they actually take their time out and make lists of multiples of 2 and 5, and the first common number that they have, first common multiple that they have, which is the least, which is the smallest, is 10. All right? Go ahead and start the guided practice, and then once you're done with that, work on the extra practice. Now, getting some ideas straight. Least common multiple. Okay, least common multiple. If you were to accidentally try to get these two things confused, recognize this, that the greatest common multiple of any two numbers is infinity. So if you accidentally say greatest common multiple, you're in infinity. You can't find that answer. That answer is not to be found. Okay? And if you were to accidentally say least common factor, when it's actually greatest common factor, the least common factor of every number is 1. So you'd always come up with an answer of 1. So try to keep those two ideas straight. Okay? Thank you very much.